Social Security and what could be accomplished or what could not perhaps speculatively be accomplished. Now, a furlough, as apparently was suggested, would that not be an administrative prerogative?
You know, I don't have the privilege or the responsibility of managing the Social Security Administration, so I can't, and I haven't had a chance to look at these cuts. So I was very careful in responding to that question by saying that if the cuts had that impact, then I think it would be imprudent and unwise and unnecessary. But I haven't had a chance to look at them, and I don't know how we would meet whatever Congress would propose.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, and I guess I would like to certainly do my part for not participating in hyperbole and you know, ramping up rhetorical statements for various reasons. But I think you can agree we are facing some significant challenges. We've touched a bit on taxes here today. You know, the estate tax, I hear a lot of input from that from back home, rural Nebraska. They say it's double taxation. Do you agree with that?
You know, I don't know what I would describe, how I would describe it, but I would say is that the rates and exemptions we proposed would make sure that that tax only affected, we think, less than 0.5% of estates in any given year. And again, we're not proposing it because we like doing it. We're only proposing it because, as you're saying over and over again, we have unsustainable obligations, unsustainable deficits, and they will hurt future growth, make us weaker as a country if we don't fix them. And we're going to have to do a bunch of things to spread the burden of that. But again, our proposals would only affect less than 0.5% of all estates in any given year.
Well, I can appreciate that. I mean, it certainly reduces the political pushback. I would hope that you would share the concern of many of my constituents, not just about the estate tax or death tax, but the narrowing of the tax base, that fewer and fewer people are paying taxes, whether it's the federal income tax that fewer and fewer people are paying. How do you think we could address that?
Well, if you look at our tax system today, there is lots of unfairness across the system, and you referred to one piece of it, which some people think is unfair, which is lower-income Americans pay payroll taxes, but many don't have to pay the income tax as a whole. But the vast majority of those do pay the payroll tax. But I'll take the other side of it. It's also true that, as many of our most successful executives have said, you can be a very successful businessman today and pay a much lower effective tax rate than people who work for you, and that doesn't seem fair either. And again, we're trying to propose some initial reforms to help leave us with a more simple, more fair system.
Right, and I can appreciate that as well. Now, on the capital gains tax rate, is there any concern that letting that go back up or even pushing it back up could actually result in fewer dollars of capital gains tax being recovered?
Not at 20%, no. We're proposing to make sure that, but Congress has to make this choice, that we would only see if those go up for the highest income Americans, they only go up to 20%. And we think that's a very modest rate on capital income.
So, but still increasing the penalty per se of a transaction, there would be no risk or very little risk of actually having fewer transactions.
Yeah, I don't think I think a very small effect. We're also, as I said, we're proposing to eliminate capital gains on investments in small businesses. So we've got some offsetting things that are good, but I think that would be a very modest change and no material impact on the economy or investment decisions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I yield back.
All right. Ms. Jenkins is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.